Your Blunt Talk with LT, another reaction, not a full episode. I meant to get to this a while ago. It's the Joe Budden reaction to Rory and Mal when they did their whole podcast episode. We're gonna offer commentary, some insight to the business aspects because they speak in riddles throughout this whole thing. Rory and Mal, they can't divulge certain information. So is Joe. So they have to speak in certain ways to avoid certain things in the contract. But I could just give an analysis of the podcast scope and how money is actually made from podcasts and give some more insight to the business, because a lot of people don't understand the business of their podcasts, their positions, and there is a fundamental misunderstanding with Rory and Mal in their position in the podcast. And that's why I sided with Joe, and people went crazy, and a lot of the podcast fans went crazy, but they just don't understand. So let's get into some of these things to make people further understand Joe's perspective, because okay, let's get into it. This is Joe's response. Hopefully my mic is actually up to the audio of the other mics, because I get a lot of those type of complaints. But let me know in the comment section if the audio is good, the sound quality, let's get into it.
And taxes on it. Come on, let's talk. I ain't doing nothing else. I might as well light a cigarette and talk. Come on, let's go through it for all the business owners and creators out there. If I give you $1 million, you paying taxes on it? Just put a 1 or a 2 in the comments. Come on, let's go through it together like a family. You heard me? You heard me? Nobody answering. Now everybody's silent. Now nobody's talking. Now nobody has, you know what I mean? What happened? Where we at? I thought we was talking. I thought we was kicking it. Now everybody's quiet. If I give you $1 million, are you paying taxes on it? Even as a business owner, are you paying taxes on it? Hit 1 for yes, hit 2 for no. Come on, get to it.
If I'm paid $1 million, I'm getting taxed on it, of course, obviously.
They don't want to talk no more. Now nobody want to talk. Don't worry about it. That's what I mean about you niggas.
They are commenting, though. They're putting 1s and 2s in there.
Okay. There we go. You're going to pay the taxes. That's what, 700 grand? You left with about 700 grand? Yes? Because my brothers sounded like they was offended when I said get a calculator. But what I meant is we can all do the math together on what $1 million looks like. You're going to get $1 million, you're going to pay the taxes. That's going to leave you with roughly 700 grand maybe. Do you have a lawyer? Well, actually, before we get to a lawyer, do you have a manager or anybody that's handling this business that's entitled to a percentage? Come on, let's go through it. It's Sunday. Let's do it. Don't say no, Joe, and don't say gaslight Joe. This is basic math and basic shit for entrepreneurs out there that need to know this information. We're not saying anything angry or hurtful. Everybody's in a good mood. Retainer fees, yeah, cool. So you got your lawyer fees, right? You got your management fees, right? You got some more fees as a business owner. Well, let me see. You got your accountant fees, you got your insurance, right? You got your formation money, right? Your expenses. Where do you think you at now after all of this? Come on, podcasters and entrepreneurs and living room executives, let's do it together like a family. Where do you think you're at now from your $1 million? It's not gaslighting, it's facts. Everybody is getting their percentage off of the $1 million. Where do you think you're at now? You have yet to hire a soul. You have yet to hire anybody. Now you're hiring people. Now you're buying more cameras, right? You're just buying shit, right? Where do you think you're at now in your $1 million? I'm asking all of you who have so much to say. All of you that think that I am out here being a scumbucket, I'm asking you what is left of your $1 million. Oh, everybody's quiet. Everybody's quiet. Got it.
The problem with Joe, and a reason why a lot of people are confused, is because he doesn't really communicate the message the best. He doesn't really articulate their points or their shit, man, throw me off. He doesn't really articulate to them that none of this, well, actually he did. He actually tried to tell them that this is none of their business because they're employees, but he didn't actually make it clear to them that he is the business owner. He runs the network. He has X, Y, and Z going for him. He is the boss. And you guys are hired guns pretty much. You guys are employees. You guys come down, you sit down, and you do a show. And you know what? See, I have other things that there's another reaction because I have the whole clip of Rory and Mal going back at Joe saying Joe tried to play the boss. They even say that in the response. He tried to boss up on them. He tried to play the boss. And it's like, you guys have a misunderstanding of your role. Like Joe Budden. Okay, I'm going to let him get into it a little bit more. And then I'm going to break down because I don't want to keep pausing throughout the whole thing and go going in on long rants. But I'm going to let him talk for a bit. And then I'm going to break down the entire thing because this is a little ridiculous the way people have a misunderstanding of what's going on here.
Let's say you got $350 left.
And one more thing, they're approaching this shit too emotional, too much friendship shit. There's a time and a place to push aside the friendship and be like, okay, we are handling business. We are handling this like businessmen, and we are making sure everything is business only, and then friendship aside, like compartmentalize. You can separate the two for business to handle business for the best interest of the business. Well, let's get back into it.
Let's say it's $350 left. There's nobody hiding anything. This is real simple math. If there's $350 left and you get a percentage of that, then what do you have? Not a lot, right? Not a lot. When you do it that way, right, you see how many millions of dollars need to be generated net, not gross, for everybody to eat properly. For everybody to eat properly. It's really just that simple. This is not.
You know what? Fuck that. I said I was gonna wait, but nah, I'm gonna break certain things down, and then we can get into Joe's, because people have to understand that Joe Budden started his YouTube channel a long time ago. Joe Budden had the same channel from when he was doing those uploads with Tahiri, building a channel. Building a name, obviously, off of his hip-hop career. Maul tried to shit on it in the response, act like he wasn't selling out. He was nothing. Trying to shit on his hip-hop career. Great, whatever. He still has clout. He still has notoriety. People still know who he is. Pump It Up is still a hit. He still has some sort of fame, all right? Acknowledge that. He has, he did the Love and Hip-Hop thing. State of the Culture. Everyday Struggle. All these different things is what Joe brought back to Joe's interest, to Joe's channel. This is all value that Joe brought. Joe owns the podcast. He owns the IP. He owns the YouTube channel. In their negotiations, in their contract, they're not partners. They're not business partners. People got to get that through. They're not business partners. They are profit partners on the net income of the podcast only, and it's excluding YouTube. No visual, just audio. So that's why they were great on the Spotify deal. Everyone was eating fat in the Spotify deal. There was no complaints during the Spotify deal because it was net. It was percentage of net income from the Spotify deal. They lose the Spotify deal. They're done off the Spotify deal. The only income, because this is what they do, okay? Conventional podcasting, we take ads, we take sponsorships. I start off my podcast generally. This episode is brought to you by StackWap.com, blah, blah, blah. If you listen to the audio, you hear this episode is brought to you by Anchor. Episode is brought to you by The Infatuation. That's how you get your money. You get it from your sponsorships. So when my YouTube channel was gone, there's still the sponsorship. There's still the audio sponsorship for the podcast. People have to understand that. That's general podcasting, but they foregone that. They're like, fuck that. It ruins the listenability of the podcast. We're not going to take any sponsors that we have to stop the podcast mid-rolls, pre-rolls, and start reading off these sponsors. They said, fuck that. They don't want that. They wanted their content to be fully listenable, marketable, scalable. They don't have to ruin it with that. So whatever. They have a Cash App sponsor now. That's their only sponsor for the podcast. They're excluded. Rory and Mal and everybody else is excluded from the YouTube money. They have no other deal with the podcast. So all the other money that Joe's kind of just bringing into the podcast is from other ventures because Joe is the owner of the network. Rory and Mal are in their ego and they're in their feelings because of the shit that Academics has been doing for the past months, and they can't accept that they're employees. And they're like, Joe's switching. Joe is the boss. Rory asked Mal a question, or Mal asked Joe a question about the podcast. Joe said it's none of your business. Joe apologized after and said it was rude, it was insensitive. But really and truly, it was none of his business. When Rory tried to pitch the podcast to other people as an employee, devaluing the podcast, negotiating, showing hands, weakening the value of the podcast, that's not your place, fam. What are you doing? You are a profit partner. That's how you get paid. And they want to use that word, but it really means you are a commissioned employee. That's what it means. There's a complete misunderstanding of their place here. They don't bring the value. They're not content creators. They show up and they talk. Yeah, people like the podcast. People like the chemistry. But they show up and talk. They don't bring the same value. Let's get back into Joe, and then I have a lot more to break down because I only got into a small part of how podcasters make their money.
Complicated. It's not difficult. You could say 400 grand. You could put it at 400. You could put it at 350. The point is, it's low every $1 million. So now you can be angry at that, or you could get to work. You could be mad at it. The game is the game. I didn't make these rules. They're not mine. They're not my rules. You could be mad at it, or we can get to work. It's really just that simple. Joe, do you believe this is the best way you all should have handled this? Okay, no, man, but I mean, you dealing with 3 niggas with pride and ego and communication issues. Nah, this ain't been handled the best at all. It's been a mess, but when you're in the job of content, you lean into the mess. You lean into the mess. You don't avoid it. In the job of content, you take the good with the bad. Were they shown what they should have been shown on time? Yeah, they didn't like it. They didn't like it. That's it, man. And they said that. They made that clear. No, even though it seems like I'm talking to a wall, it's important to use this as a teachable moment. If you think that I had to steal from either one of those gentlemen or fudge books, y'all nasty. Y'all are nasty. A lot of apologies need to be made, I guess. Yeah, probably just a bad failure of communication. They didn't say you stole, Joe. I know they didn't say that I stole, but they have a severe misunderstanding of whatever it is that they signed. And they can't get the understanding from me because they don't trust me.
It's pretty true.
They have to go talk to somebody that they trust. And unfortunately, that person is a lawyer. A lot of lawyer games being played.
Facts.
There will continue to be a lot of lawyer games being played, I'm sure. I know they said they don't think I stole. I know. You are not for the creators, clearly. Anybody that signs to my network retains ownership. Any of the new signees, anyway. Even the way they trusted you for 6 years. Well, it's hard when you yelling curves, blah, blah, blah. I know that they take there's no legal action to take, gentlemen, because I've fully complied with our contractual obligations. There is no legal action to take. I have complied. You just do not like it, and you're angered by it, and I get that. And you don't want to do this shit no more. It's fine. The fuck?
Okay, comment section. Joe is a snake. I hear a lot of that Joe is a snake. I just don't understand how. Do you not understand that these guys were employees and they were in their ego because of the shit that academics said to them? They had no way of responding to academics, and they expected Joe to ride out for them. Like academics and him aren't friends as well, and they don't have mutual business interests. I think a lot of people don't understand the entertainment game and the entertainment business. And even Joe going live and doing the same thing. He's an entertainer. That's how he gets his bread. He lives in public in front of people. A lot of people aren't willing to do this type of shit because they're not willing to be entertainers to this level. I'm going to get back into this, but Joe did handle a lot of things wrong. I understand that. I'm not here caping for Joe. Like, Joe is not the best businessman. Joe's not the best communicator to his friends and keeping it business and stop. Like, for me, I look at them and I'm like, you guys are entirely too emotional. I hope everybody that's watching this watched the Rory and Mal sit down when they were talking and was able to see through some of the bullshit and see, because it's not like they were capping. It's just they don't understand certain things. There is just a complete lack of understanding when you listen to those two. And they talk like, oh, Joe is an idiot. Joe sounds smart to dumb people, blah, blah, blah. It's not about how Joe sounds. It's about how you guys don't understand basic business. But let's get back to this.
What is profit sharing, Joe? Do we want to have this conversation? I've been trying not to have that conversation. So I don't know. Here is the place to have that conversation on Instagram. I know they said what they said, but it's not true. And I, as the business owner, can't get on the internet and just start talking about people's contracts. It's not professional. It's not professional. It don't send the right message to the future people that may want to work. You don't do that.
And this is why he's talking in riddles, because you can't do that.
Yes, let's have it. You really ruined something good. So what? Get over it. So what? Get over it. Man More Podcast. Go find one. Would you be open to sitting down with them again and trying to understand? We sat down a bunch, and I think I understand. And in watching the video, I understand even further. Those brothers they've been unhappy with the way shit has been running for a few years, it seems. And I was the last to know. But if you're unhappy, you should do something different. I'm not trying to be a dick. You shouldn't continue to be somewhere where you're not happy with the situation. I may have handled it wrong, but man, you can't do that. And you can't attack your man because you're mad at the situation. You can't do that. They are entitled to the books if they have a percentage-based contract. They're not entitled to the books if the contract says they're not entitled to the books, sir. I know that you are a living room attorney. I know that you got a lot of living room degrees, but there are words in contracts.
Stupid.
Oh, man. He tried and you screamed like a kid. Well, yeah. Come on, let's talk. Let's talk. Rory says that he had a meeting with Elliot. To discuss title. And then he called and told me about it, and I screamed on him.
Of course.
He's absolutely right. I screamed on him.
Okay. You know what that's like? I once upon a time worked at a company called Mastermind Toys. That is like me calling up Mattel and trying to get a toy contract with that company. It's like, who the fuck do you think you are, my nigga? You an employee. What are you doing? It's like, it's because it's the entertainment business and their friends that these lines are murky, and he didn't properly convey that message. But it's like, come on, son, like, you should know, like, you're not in the position. You have to ask you have to ask Joe for information pertaining to the company. You are not an owner. Owners don't have to ask anybody. Like,
he was totally out of place. He should not have done that. I had already been having discussions with Tidal. I named a number. They weren't the fondest of it. And here goes Rory to sit down and talk to Elliot, but he doesn't own it, and he doesn't know how much it's costing to run these things, and he don't know what type of money I'm going to take. So I 100% said to Rory, please do not do that again. Please do not be used as a pawn when people are trying to do their negotiating tricks. I've already spoken to them. I said a number. That's true. That's true. And when I came back to say, hey, we have a title deal, it's because Hove called. Not because you sat with Elliot. It's because the highest person in the food chain called and said, this is how I feel, present it to your guys. So that's what I did. And you guys wanted to take that title deal. That title deal was for $40,000 a month. $40,000 a month is what that deal was for, with no information being given. Y'all wanted to take it.
Let me just say, $40,000 a month for a 12-man operation for the entire business is laughable. They can't do anything with that. If he had taken it, because it seems like initially they were just so thirsty, Rory especially, to get into a contract, to get them paid, because they were grinding and Joe was building up the worth because Joe seen the long game as an owner. But they were doing it as like this team movement because Joe didn't explain to them explicitly, fuck what the contract says, because he's talking about read your contracts, X, Y, and Z. Explain it to them explicitly, because you know you're the owner. You spoke to your lawyer. You've worked out the contract. You needed to explain it to them explicitly that you are an employee. You get paid commission from net profits.
I said no. We should not take it. We didn't take it. That was smart. Sorry. That just makes sense. I'm sorry that he didn't understand that. But it made sense. Did Hove offer the same number? It's never about the number, you guys. It's always about the terms. Yeah, you should have said no to the 40 ball. Philly, of course I should have said no to the 40 ball. 40 grand a month for the hottest podcast in the world? We all hold vengers, but that's not how we're going to do business. I'm sorry that he took that as me barking on him and little broing him and dismissing him and gaslighting him. It was just running business. If they run fast, what you got in that cup? You should just pod alone. I'm not going to pod alone. I'm going to pod with the people that want to pod, that are happy with podding with me, that are happy with the way business is being ran with the pod. So you think Elliot thinks Rory is a pawn? No, I don't think that. That's just normal business practice. If you have something that I want to be a part of and we're negotiating, and I come meet with you and you say one thing, maybe I'll try to meet with somebody else and get some more information. That's very normal. Elliot is the guy, man. You kidding me? Elliot is amazing. I just didn't want to send any false impression. He said you went off because he brought it up. Well, yeah, I went off because you were out of line and out of place. And you had no business meeting with Elliot and me finding out as the owner after the fact. That is wrong. We're running a business. Clearly should communicate those situations in real time. I thought I did. That's the problem. Joe, no one wants to hear parts as much as he be talking. Well, it's his house, it's his equipment, it's his audio. He talked. What you want me to do, man? Who cares? Keep the guests coming. You can't say it's about money when they willingly gave up their Patreon checks. Let's address that. Our Patreon deal started in February. Or my Patreon deal started in February. Let's talk about it. Our Spotify deal ended in September and was on the rocks that whole year. We have an entire team and staff and bills and balances that needed to be paid for the whole 3 years. Why would either one of them think that in February giving up a check from y'all is helping anything? I'm the network. I'm not asking the people that work for the company to give up their check for the people that work for the company. If you was going to do that, you should have been doing that. Should have been doing that. Now's not the time. Now's not the time, and that's not your place. It's my responsibility to make sure everybody gets paid here, including you gentlemen. It's not y'all's responsibility to relinquish a check for people that are receiving a check. It doesn't work like that. Sorry. Does Parks get a raise now? Everybody gets a raise now. Everybody gets a raise. Come on, what else y'all got? Come on, where are the living room attorneys? That's nasty. Imagine trying to sell the franchise of the place. They say they don't work for you. Let's address it.
Yeah, please do.
Let's address it. Let's get to that right there. Because I think that's a real big problem in the ego and the pride and the male emotions and the male communication and shit like that. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. No, I'm not back on any pills. That's a hurtful thing to say to someone that has struggled with a pill addiction. Now, let's talk about that. They don't work for you. This is the wording in the contract. This is the wording in the contract, and they'll have to go speak to their attorneys about this.
You can't give direct wording.
Well, no, this is not the wording in the contract, because you're not going to catch me like that, where you're suing me because I'm divulging personal information. This is what the contract says. It doesn't say that they are profit participants of the podcast. These are facts, living room lawyers. It doesn't say that they're profit participants of the podcast. And I think that's what they may have thought. I don't know. But watching their video, I still don't think they know what the contract says. But it says something to the effect of they make money off of my podcast earnings net. That's very different. It's very different. It's a very different statement, sentiment. It may be tough for some people to understand.
It means you're a commissioned employee. That's what it means.
But those words are very, very different. The end. It's not for me to explain further. If there's any issues, get with people that you trust, not your friend. Oh, it's not difficult to understand? I thought it was difficult to understand. You make a percentage of what I net from this work operation. And after the Spotify deal, I quickly learned that I was all wrong. I ain't never had no money, so I was all wrong in what it costs to run a business. I was wrong. It was bad. It was bad, y'all. It was costing me a lot more. It was expensive. So I went and I took my money from everywhere and I ran the business. My revolt money, my pull-up money, my love and hip-hop money, YouTube money, any money. Any money I had, I came back and put it all in the business. Because if I didn't do that, niggas might be making $30,000 and $40,000.
Because I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. As the business owner, you have to spend all of the money to get the business continuously moving. You constantly pouring money in. Yeah, you get the money out, but you have to divvy up the money for all the paying. So it's like, let's get back to this, man. This is just ridiculous. I don't understand why there's so much pushback again. It's like, yeah, Joe handled it wrong. Yeah, Joe's not the best businessman in the world, but these guys, I always say these guys and these people. It's a terrible fucking habit. Rory and Mal. The fuck was I about to say? I smoke too much goddamn kush. Jesus Christ. Let's get back to it. Fuck life. Yo, what's going on here?
It's on a contract. That ain't the friendly thing to do. Watch your niggas make 40, and that's nasty. So I never...
Yeah, what I was about to say is Rory and Mal led with their emotions. They kept leading with their emotions. They handled this whole thing. Oh, we're friends. You're not handling this way. We're friends. This is business, my nigga. Business. Understand what you bring. Understand your value. Understand that you're not really a content creator. You are the hired help. Whether people like the dynamic of their podcast and like the chemistry or not, just understand he has a specific role and that's it. They showed that they weren't content creators in their response. They thought they had a clever response by saying, I'll name this response later. Yeah, that is great. Sounds good and everything. But they put it on Vimeo and they charged $2. $2 for a view on Vimeo. You know what the first person did? They paid the $2. They took the video, they stripped it, they put it on YouTube. There's millions of people that watch that shit on YouTube. And guess what? There's no copyright claim. Guess what? Everyone's making money off of their content that they're not making themselves because they thought, oh, let me put it on Vimeo instead of starting a YouTube channel and profiting that way. They're not creators, man.
I never honored it. I never looked at it. I always just went above and beyond. And that's that. But I don't think they knew that. And that's where we stand in the fight. That's why the therapist said, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe she's right. They don't know that I'm going above and beyond. They don't know I'm taking money from all over the place to make sure everybody's okay. They don't know. They don't know. They're right. They don't know. But you can't look up twice a year and expect to know. That's really just the bottom line. And that's where the fight came from. The podcast don't have a deal anywhere. There's no deal. That's what I said to these brothers privately. There's no deal. There is no deal. We don't have a deal. We left Spotify. There is no deal. They could be in my pockets. It's clear. It's clear. We can talk. There is no deal. That's not a secret. There's no deal. That's it. $400,000 mistake just goes to all of the things that they thought was wrong with accounting that wasn't wrong. The $400,000 mistake that's how Spotify paid out 1 year. They gave you an advance up front or a part of the money up front, and as the business owner, you have to prorate it through the year or through the 2 years, and that's what happened. And they got the accounting and saw this big $400,000 number and said, "What's this? What's this? You're lying, you're stealing. How do you make this?" I said, "Fam, we can't do this. We can't do this if y'all don't understand what this says. We can't do it." But you got a Patreon deal. Yeah. Me.
Yeah, the Patreon deal is not a podcast deal. He's an employee for Patreon.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And that's where I went wrong when you're working with friends. I was thinking, all right, I see what's going on. As long as everybody has a way to be a millionaire or a path to be a millionaire. That's what the fight is for with these companies. Just a path to be able to share in the benefits of what you built. You are not making sense. No, you just stupid, nigga. This makes all the sense in the world. It's very simple. It's not tough to understand. You never talk to them like that. I've had 90 million talks with these gentlemen like this. They just don't like it. They don't like it, but they won't step to the lawyer that negotiated it, that is still representing them both. They rather just attack me. But I'll take it. I love those guys. Fuck it. All relationships don't last. But everybody got to eat. You said.
See, that's the part that I don't like about the whole thing. They talked about ending the business relationship so they could remain friends or whatever, or basically separating them. When last time Rory and Mal were on the podcast, they were talking about separating the business and the friendship so they could both last. They didn't do none of that. They got fired and they're no longer friends. What did they maintain? What did they retain? They didn't retain anything. They lost everything over this deal.
No, it isn't. You drag them to the deaths publicly and say you love them. Well, yeah. Yeah, I went through something. I had a tough day. Sorry. I've been making my mistakes publicly since I was 20 years old. Sorry that you just got here. You just got to the internet to figure out how this works. Sometimes you make a mistake publicly. Ooh, whoop-de-doo, cancel me. Fumble with the bag. Validate your own self, Jill. You don't need others. Nobody else validates my feelings. It's just important for all the living room lawyers to know how this works, because some of you out there could use some of this as a teachable moment. That's it. Any nigga that has to rob their friend to buy a Miri hats is a nasty nigga, man. It's disgusting. Yes, I am too old for this, which is why this is the best outcome. Do I wish this could have been handled better and behind the scenes? 100% I do. Do I wish that they didn't just view everything like some type of evil action was taking place? I did. You do a lot of lying and covering your true feelings, because this ain't about feelings. It's about business. Nobody's here for feelings. I got a lot of feelings. Nobody cares. So what? They don't matter. The business has to run still.
Business. Fuck feelings.
I know that makes me seem like a meanie. So do you think they accused you of stealing? No, maybe not. Maybe they didn't accuse me of stealing. They just had a problem with the accounting on the way a multi-million-dollar business is being ran, which says that you think you are entitled to more. And maybe you are. And maybe that's where the fight is.
Okay, this is.
They
I'm gonna get to
entitled
accounting.
to more.
This is almost done. We're gonna get to accounting.
I don't really see it. It's harsh. It's tough. I know. But I mean, the contract was only for another year. I mean, if they both said they wasn't going to re-sign it, then this shit was over in another year anyway. A multi-million-dollar business cannot be reflected on an Excel. Okay, but what if there is no business?
Hold on.
Jesus,
we're gonna get to that in a sec. We're gonna get to that in a second.
If you don't get that bullshit out of my face, bitch.
Okay, James Waiters, whatever the fuck that is. You a scrub. You hated on Olivia Dope. You clearly watched him violate her, and you tried to justify it. You a creep, cuz. Okay, that is extra large cap. Get that bullshit out of my face, my nigga. What are you talking about? I specifically showed. Okay, so if anyone's watching this on the replay and they don't know what I'm talking to, this is a comment in the comment section on the live chat. Large cap. I showed the timestamps that she tried to say this happened, and this happened, and she represented something, and then I showed the audience what she was representing and what actually happened, and it was not the same. It did not align, and that's all I did. I called that shit out. It's like I never said I didn't invalidate the things that happened off camera because I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. But let's be real. If we're dealing in facts and we're dealing with things objectively, because people want to deal with this actually I can't even say that. There's certain words I want to say, but I know better. I just got my shit back. I'm going to keep it classy. Let's get back to it.
What if there's no business at all? What if there is no deal? What if you're not signed? What if there's no...
Okay, Brushwood Hill, shout out to you. This is the stuff that Kevin Samuels be talking about. Cap. Exactly. Large cap. This exact... Yo, man, people are waking up to the bullshit. The media has been doing this.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
Stupid.
Because people are sheep. People are too easily convinced by the culture that we got going on now, where everything is just super pussy. Pussy. Let's get back to this.
Audio deal, no video deal. There's no ad, no integration. What if there's nothing? And this is why it's almost pointless to have these conversations on the internet. So I'm going to finish because you wanted to put them on salary. Yeah, that's how it works. If all you want to do is come in and talk, then you make a salary. Now, granted, it could be a really high salary, but if you have a problem with sitting behind expenses, then you should get a salary.
Yo, I just want people to understand all the work it takes to manage and run your own business and the whole operation instead of just showing up and talking. I wish I could just show up and talk here, but that's not what the fuck I'm doing here. I'm managing the whole operation, the whole business, everything. So when people, they just don't understand, and I don't even have the patience or the wherewithal to even explain it right now. I've been on this thing for a long time, but people just don't understand. You show up and talk. That is a salaried profession right there. That is a radio job. You show up and you talk. You don't manage the business. Charlemagne shows up and he talks and he gets paid a fat salary for it because he doesn't own the Breakfast Club. The Brilliant Idiots, something different. Him and Andrew Schultz halves on that. It's different. There's ownership there. But the Breakfast Club, he shows up and he talks. He doesn't handle any of the operational stuff. So he doesn't ask iHeartMedia what's going on with this deal and what you're doing. Like, it's none of your business, my nigga. You're the employee. Let's get back to it. There's a minute left, and then I have to go off about accounting after, but let's get to the last minute of this.
They got a percentage. You said it last pod. Yes, they have a percentage of Joe's net from the pod. Yes, they do.
Make sure you guys subscribe.
True. Call a lawyer and figure out what it means if you played yourself as a person. They've been saying that for 20 years. Everything looks gorgeous out right now. All right, I'm getting off. Did you give up the Spotify deal with another deal in place? Explain Royce and Crook. On the surface, this pod's none of your business. Sounds harsh, but I get what you're saying. You was making up numbers then. Oh, my God. Shut up. What we're not going to do is come on here and just start spilling the numbers for shit. Grab a calculator, grab your contract, do math. It's very simple. You honestly should only have a guest host. Thank you, Dree. We're going to look into all of that. We're going to look into guest hosts. We're going to look into rotating hosts. We're going to look into no hosts. We're just going to look into things. This is the time to experiment, try different things, and embrace whatever the universe is doing. This is going to ruin your day, King. No, it's not. Oh, Jesus. I don't want to say that and seem like I'm gaslighting or I'm dismissive. It's not going to ruin the day. All of y'all be smooth, y'all be easy. I'm going to even leave this video up for a little while. I won't just delete it so y'all could look at it. Pray for everybody involved. Nah, you were wrong, Joe. Mixie Boys with a dub. I know. Who cares? Unsub, unfollow. Do what you got to do. Enjoy yourselves. Talk to y'all soon. Be easy.
All right, so I want to get to something. Rory and Mal talked about the accounting and the Excel spreadsheets. My girl's an accountant. I want to talk to her because there's a lot of things that they were speaking about, but it doesn't pertain to them. The network, the business accounting has nothing to do with them. It's your invoice, your paycheck accounting. So let's get to this. Let me call my girl real quick. Okay, so I'm live right now. I'm gonna put you on speaker, all right? Hello? Can't hear you. Say that again?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Okay, so accounting. They got an Excel spreadsheet. What were they expecting to get for the accounting for their direct invoice for their payment to break down their money? What were they supposed to get instead of an Excel spreadsheet, if not an Excel spreadsheet?
Well, I think especially internally, you would get an Excel spreadsheet because you're able to manipulate the data however you need. So for instance, and maybe a payment that came in from Spotify, if they want to take a closer look at how it was dissected, then they can zoom in on that particular expense and see the breakdowns of it. So technically, you can't get that on a PDF because
A
you
PDF
can't like filter.
and a PDF is
anything.
static, right? It's like, or is it the same in that regard? You're not
Sorry,
able
I
to
don't-
filter. You're not
I
able to
don't
filter
understand.
anything out, right? You're not able to go into any details in a PDF. It's what it is, right?
In a PDF, it's just data dumping. It's hard to pinpoint a certain data or even just to particularly look at a certain line. Whereas in Excel, you can do all of that.
So they could
It's
have.
just an easier way to zoom in on all the information because there's so much data that comes in and transactions that happen within a company. So for you to see it on a holistic view, it's good just to see the totals. But in order to really pinpoint certain things and even for projections to see where you want to go, you would use whatever spreadsheet that we give to you and get a further insight using an Excel spreadsheet. Pivot tables, whatever they choose to use within that Excel spreadsheet.
Okay. Thank you very much for divulging that information from an accountant. So whenever Rory liked to say the fucking Excel spreadsheet like fucking made his point any more valid, here are the facts. Thank you.
No problem. I'm glad I could help.
Okay, I'll talk to you later, babe.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. There you go. I'm an idiot. Like, I don't understand these accounting terminologies and lingo, but it is what it is. I got it from an accountant. Excel spreadsheets. The information could have possibly been there. I don't know what type of shit they were privy to. I don't know what type of information that they had that was wrong and given to them by their. I don't know, man. I don't know what they be talking to their lawyer about. I don't understand why they have such a misunderstanding of their role. But that was Joe's response. This is my opinion, breakdown on the business. What else do I have to get to about podcast business? That was informative. They wanted Joe's W4 real talk facts. I'm happy that was informative. I thought I had some more to say, but I don't know. I got more to put out today. We got a lot to talk about. We have another stream coming up tonight. We busy, we active, and we back in full capacity out here. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you like for the algorithm. We trying to grow back to where we were before and further beyond. So make sure that you subscribe. Hit the super chat if you are feeling friendly. And yeah, we out. Yeah.